Fort Worth family, what's going on? It's the kid Fort Worth Fabian and BigBossFabo. I'm back with a live stream reaction for the Gang Squad. Yeah, man, I'm gonna just do a quick live stream, man. I ain't gonna lie. There's some live streams going on tonight. There's actually specifically a versus battle going on tonight that I may stream just to get engagement on the channel, on the platform, man. But with this one, we're back with Explore With Us, E-Woo crew, an Explore With Us reaction, man. I ain't gonna lie. I just was like, bro, let me do a live stream right now, because I ain't really post today. So, hey, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Fort Worth Fabian, man. It's the road to 1 million. Peace and love to everybody who actually rock with my channel. People who actually care to watch what I got going on. People who actually care to donate to my channel. People who actually care to like my videos. People who actually care to subscribe to my channel. People who actually care. I rock with you. Man, shout out to everybody who's in the live stream. Be sure if you hop into the live stream to do what? Hit the like button, man. Let's get to 50 likes on this video. Let's get to 50 likes. I'm always trying to, elevate. I'm always trying to get to a top tier. You know what I mean? Donations are open. If you want to feel generous, and, if you want to donate to the channel, do that. You can do that through PayPal. I've posted a link within the chat, but Super Chat is open. If you know what Super Chat is, man, it's at the bottom of the chat area, the $ emoji, man. Basically, you can donate and have your comment pinned, so to speak, but it doesn't seem like too many people like using Super Chat. But hey, they will in the future as we grow. Yeah, man, if you recall E-Woo or the Explore With Us channel, man, they're deep on criminology, they're deep on mysteries, murder mysteries, supernaturals, whatever it is, man, a lot of stuff. So without further ado, let's hop into the reaction, man. As always, if you're late to the reaction, you can start the video from the start of from commencement. Basically, you can start a video from the top, you know what I mean, just so you gather all information and you're not just hopping in, mid reaction. But let's get into this, man. Let's get into it, you.
Murder cases are often the hardest to solve. Frequently, it is a small hint or a missed clue that cracks the case, leading to an arrest and conviction. But today, we are taking a look at some truly unusual murder cases that were solved in the most unconventional ways. What is up, E-Woo crew? Today, we are taking a look at 3 cases where the victims solved their own deaths after they had died. In many ways, these are the victims who got the truest form of revenge, as they are the ones who name their killers and ensure that justice is served. Our first case is one that proves the importance of taking a closer look at clues, as they just might reveal exactly what you are looking for. In 2003, Amarjit Chauhan was a successful businessman with the Seba Freight Company in London, England. The 46-year-old lived with his 25-year-old wife, Nancy, their 2 young sons, 18-month-old Devinder and 2-month-old Ravinder, and Nancy's mother, Karanjit Kaur. Amarjit's work with his fruit and vegetable distribution company had made him rich. In fact, he was reported to be a multi-millionaire. And though he was flourishing, everything was about to go terribly wrong for the family. On February 15th, 2003, Nancy called her brother, Onkar Verma, who lived in New Zealand. She told him that she was worried because she hadn't heard from Amarjit, and that he hadn't returned to their home after he was meant to have finished work. Apparently, she couldn't get him on the phone, but when she contacted the freight company where he worked, she was told he had gone on a supposed urgent business trip to the Netherlands. Nancy had told her brother that she was upset because Amarjit hadn't told her about the trip himself.
That's cap.
What's more, she doubted that he could travel as his passport was reportedly being held by the UK government,
Facts.
as he had applied for permanent residency.
Yeah.
She didn't understand why his employees would have lied to her about her husband's whereabouts. Then, things became even more concerning when she received a message from Amarjit, which said that he would be back soon.
Boy.
The problem was, he always messaged her in Punjabi, and this one was written in English.
Yeah.
Things just weren't adding up.
Something sound kind of fishy about now.
But another twist came when Onkar could no longer get a hold of his sister. After worrying for a few days, he decided to contact Scotland Yard on February 19th. When the family's London flat was visited, however, Onkar was told that there was no sign of Nancy, nor anyone else. In fact, there were no clues at all about what had happened to the Chowan family, or where they could have gone. The house wasn't disturbed, no clothing had been taken, and the children's toys were still on the ground.
Boy, that's
where
a
they
nice
had been
flat.
dropped. As there was no sign of a struggle, investigators considered the chance that the family had simply left their home in a hurry. Further investigation began to suggest that the family may have been kidnapped.
I feel like Folks is kind of like the queer,
Whoa. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, man. Hit the notification bell if you just joined the live stream, man. Let's get to 50 likes, man. Hit the like button as you join, as you come in.
Discovered that Amarjit hadn't been heard from since February 14th, while his family was last seen on February 16th. The investigation was stunted from the beginning, with no sign of where the Chowan family had gone. But on March 24th, a typewritten letter was sent to Amarjit's place of work, which stated that he and his family had moved to Calais, France, where they were living happily.
Calais.
But they would soon travel to India. This was impossible, as the UK's government still had the family's passports. Despite this lead, it didn't bring investigators any closer to finding the Chowan family. They appeared to have simply vanished. But then in April, during a family's canoeing trip along the Bournemouth Pier, they discovered something horrible in the water. A body. It belonged to Amarjit. Further investigation found Nancy's body in the same area, though it wasn't uncovered until July, while her mother's body was discovered off the Isle of Wight in a bay in November. The two baby boys' bodies were never found. Now that the case was a murder investigation rather than missing...
So the husband goes missing and then like slowly but surely the rest of the family starts missing? That's crazy.
...persons, authorities began looking into every possible means to find out who could have killed the Chowan family. At first, there was nothing to help investigators. But then, from beyond the watery grave, Amarjit managed to leave a final clue for detectives to discover. Something had alerted Amarjit before his death. He began to suspect that his life was in danger, and that someone might soon try to kill him. He decided that the best way to alert the police to his suspicions was write a letter. Amarjit was killed before he could send it, but that didn't stop him from alerting police to his suspicion about who might be the one to kill him. During the initial examination of Amarjit's body and clothing, nothing appeared amiss. There was evidence that he had been gagged, and a blood toxicology report showed that he had been exposed to high levels of a sedative, but this fit the police theory that he had been kidnapped. It wasn't until months later, when Amarjit's sock was more closely examined, that the letter was discovered. Just before he had died, Amarjit had tucked the letter deep into the folds of his sock.
Dang.
And knowing his eventual fate, he was likely hoping that its contents would help solve his death. Even though the paper had been completely soaked through by seawater, Detective Chief Inspector David Little said that the ink was still legible because of how Amarjit had tightly folded the paper. He had folded the letter with the ink on the inside many times over and over, preserving the important words within. The actual contents of the letter turned out to be unimportant. However, Amarjit had addressed it to Kenneth Regan, and it was dated February 12th, the day before Amarjit went missing. Authorities immediately began looking into Reagan, who was allegedly a known drug dealer with a criminal record. Police used cell phone site analysis, and they quickly put together a promising timeline. Amarjit's phone
Hit the like button, man. Let's get to 20 likes.
was traced to be near Stonehenge on the 13th, and Reagan, along with the men believed to be his accomplices, Bill Hornsey and Peter Rees, were allegedly also shown to be in the same area. The site analysis also showed that Regan and Hornsey were near the Chowan family home on the same day they went missing. Police allege that Reagan's motive was purely greed. They theorized that his plan had been to kill Amarjit and his entire family so he could gain control of his multi-million-dollar freight company and use it to bring drugs into the country. An article by Medium.com reports that Reagan made Amarjit sign blank papers, which he then purportedly later typed on to say that the millionaire had handed the company over to him. Police believe that for several days, Amarjit was tied up and held hostage at his own house before he was finally killed, and he and his family's bodies were eventually dumped in the sea. As police closed in on Reagan, Hornsey, and Rees, the men fled. Rees was found hiding in Gloucestershire, while Reagan and Hornsey managed to get on a ferry to Calais, where they were on the run from authorities for a few months. Reagan was eventually arrested in Belgium, and soon after, Hornsey gave himself up at Dover. During the ensuing trial, all three men denied any role in the Chowan family's death, and Reagan even alleged that an Asian gang...
I ain't gonna cap. I was gonna flee the country at one point too, y'all. I was living in England, man. It's funny because my ex had mentioned, bro, you can catch a ferry from Dover to Calais, which is from the UK to France or something like that. She's like, man, they don't be checking your passports or nothing like that. It's easy to slip through, so to speak. But that's my familiarity with Dover and Calais. Random fact, bro. It's fact.
Gang had killed the Chowans and forced him to dispose of their bodies. However, the letter Amarjit wrote, along with other evidence, was used to help convict the men.
Man, hit the like button, y'all. Let's get to 30 likes on this video, man. And be sure to comment down below. Super chat is open as well.
According to The Guardian, all three were sentenced to life imprisonment, with Reagan and Hornsey being found guilty of the family's murders, and Rees sentenced for Amarjit's murder and convicted of assisting an offender, but cleared of the other 4 murder charges. The next case...
That'd be baffling me how people be getting cleared off charges that's like, come on, dude. They kidnapped or they murdered the whole family, infants included. That's pure savagery. I don't know how the justice system works over in the UK, but that makes no sense. But I ain't gonna lie, it's like the system fails us over here all the time. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't put it past it failing people in other places. But it baffles me how people be so quick to kill people. Like, it sounds like he really did it for a drug operation, trying to basically funnel work through the gentleman who got murder's business. But it's like, you so quick just to get rid of people and just like eliminate life just so you can flourish financially. That's crazy, bro. People really got it twisted.
The case we have for you today is something right out of a spy movie. And yet, it's all true. In order to understand the case best, we have to do a bit of history. Many of us have heard of the KGB, which used to be the main security agency for the Soviet Union. The KGB's main reason for existence was to quell any dissent, which was largely seen as anyone harboring anti-communist ideology within the Soviet Union. The KGB is still infamous today for their reportedly violent methods. When the Soviet Union ended, the KGB was replaced with the lesser-known FSK, and then the FSB, which reportedly operated similarly.
What does that mean?
This is where our case begins. Alexander Litvinenko was born in Voronezh, Russia in 1962. His career flourished as soon as it began, graduating from the Kirov Higher Command School and becoming a platoon commander in the Soviet ministry in 1985. The next year, he was reportedly recruited by the KGB as an informant in the counterintelligence section.
The KGB.
By 1988, he is said to have transferred to the KGB's 3rd Chief Directorate before he officially became an operational KGB officer. In this role, Alexander saw active military service and began to focus on the infiltration of organized crime within Russia. His name and career became known to the Western world, and the media began referring to him somewhat inaccurately as a Russian spy. In fact, he only dealt in secrets regarding organized crime groups. In 1995, the KGB, which had become the FSK in 91, was replaced with the FSB. But Alexander's career remained
the DFW, the LMK, the KGB. Somebody Google it. What's it mean? I'm about to Google it after this video, but come on, bro.
Largely the same until in 1997, when he was promoted to...
Don't you hate when people use acronyms? That's what it is, right? Acronyms, and then they don't explain what they mean. They be like, yeah, the DLD. It's like, you should know, like, bruh, that always happens when I go to a new job. They're using all these acronyms, and they're like, you should know. It's like, I don't know what that means.
The FSB, Directorate of Analysis and Suppression of Criminal Groups. Everything seemed to be going well for Alexander. But that wouldn't last. In his work, Alexander discovered some things that were better left unknown, at least for his own safety. He purportedly found incriminating links between top brass of Russian law enforcement agencies and Russian mafia groups. Alexander had earned his prosperous career by ruthlessly seeking out and getting rid of organized crime groups. And so, in 1998, when he discovered corruption within the highest levels of Russian law enforcement, he attempted to bring it to the attention of his superiors, including a man named Vladimir Putin. Putin would become prime minister in 1999. Alexander brought his proof of corruption in the FSB to Putin. And Alexander later reflected on the meeting, saying, "I could see in his eyes that he hated me." Still, Alexander did not give up, and he held a press conference regarding the corruption. This resulted in his dismissal from the FSB, but more concerningly, Alexander had put a target on his back and made enemies of very powerful men.
That's an ultimate no-no, bro.
Though he was reportedly ordered not to leave Moscow, Alexander and his family fled to London in October of 2000, seeking political asylum and protection. He was granted asylum in 2001. Though he was reportedly convicted of charges of corruption back in Russia, Alexander began a prominent career as a journalist and author in England, even coining the term mafia state to describe Russian politics. Alexander once again found himself within the web of spying.
This dude, he was an asylum seeker. He sought asylum to be below the radar, fled to a different place, to be back above the radar. Like, you should, boy, you in a witness protection at that point. You gotta lay low, my boy. What is you doing?
As he was allegedly recruited by MI6 in England to consult on organized crime in Europe, but mostly Russian-related mafia activity. In 2006, he was even set to give a statement in Spain about Russian mafia influence within Spanish borders. It was his involvement in this perilous line of work that would come back to haunt him. On November 1st, 2006, Alexander suddenly felt very ill. 2 days later, he was admitted to a hospital in London, but he was soon moved into intensive care. His illness didn't make sense. At only 44, Alexander was a healthy and strong man, and his symptoms didn't look anything like the doctors had seen before. He had severe diarrhea and vomiting, but also could barely walk. After a series of tests, it was determined that Alexander was suffering from poisoning. But not just any poisoning.
Facts. He got poisoned, man. I feel like he just did too much, though. How you gonna go back working for a secret service when you left Russia, working with secret operations there? It don't make sense to me, bruh. Especially if you asylum seeker. Your life's in danger, so keep it below the radar. You know what I'm saying? You got a family and all this too. It's like, bro, that don't make sense, man. Be sure to hit the like button. Comment down below, man. Let's get to 30 likes. Hit the like button. Share this video.
210, a highly rare and toxic element.
What?
Alexander had a given polonium-210.
Polonium-210?
A highly rare and toxic element.
No.
Alexander had acute radiation syndrome. Polonium-210 is one of the deadliest toxins. About 250 billion times more toxic than hydrogen cyanide. 1 gram of polonium-210 could kill 50 million people and make 50 million more ill.
No way.
Alexander could have died after consuming less than 1/1,000,000th of that amount. But how on earth had Alexander come in contact with such a rare poison in the middle of London?
Secret Service.
Alexander knew he was going to die. There was no way to survive the poison that was coursing through his veins and shutting down his organs as it went. But he wasn't going to die without first catching the people who had poisoned him. The day that he had first become sick, Alexander had met with Dmitry Kovtun and Andrei Lugovoy at the Millennium in London. Alexander and Lugovoy had once worked together in the FSB. The men had met up to chat about old times, just as they had previously in October. While together, Alexander took a few sips of the green tea that they had ordered. Alexander remembered that he was the only one to drink the tea. As he lay dying in the hospital, he told authorities about his suspicions.
That's how they get you, man. The cups of tea. If a guest invites you over and they ain't trustworthy, don't accept the cup of tea from them. Y'all, you see it in all the movies. Oh, you want a cup of tea? Next thing you know, hey, the human centipede happened that way, I swear. Any beverage offered, turn it down.
As police began investigating, they carefully traced the two men's paths. They discovered that Kovtun had left traces of polonium in the house he had been staying at in Hamburg before coming to London, as well as in his car.
Well, that's a nice
When
neighborhood.
investigators began looking, they found traces of polonium in the men's hotel room, restaurant tables, and even on a shisha pipe. Radiation was also found in the men's bathroom at the Millennium Hotel. Alexander's poisoning is believed to have exposed 700 people to radiation, but at such a low level that no one else became sick.
Wow.
Alexander had been right about the tea, and investigators discovered a hot teapot in the Millennium Hotel, meaning it was radioactive. Alexander's wife accused Moscow of sending Kovtun and Lugovoy to kill him, though she never named anyone who she thought gave the command, specifically out of fear for her own life. Scotland Yard made a statement saying, "The evidence suggests that the only credible explanation is in one way or another the Russian state is involved in Litvinenko's murder."
Yeah, you think? Come on,
After
man.
suffering for 22 days, on November 22nd, 2006, Alexander's heart failed and he died. Because of political implications, it is only suspected that he was assassinated. Though Kovtun and Lugovoy denied any role in Alexander's poisoning and death, a witness came forward to say that they had heard Kovtun refer to Alexander as a traitor, who he intended to make an example of. There is an irony to the fact that shortly after Alexander died, Kovtun was hospitalized for radiation poisoning. Lugovoy was named as the primary suspect in Alexander's death, while Kovtun was said to be the second suspect. Russia has refused to extradite either men to be charged or receive a trial. Alexander spent his last few days alive making sure to gather as much evidence as possible against the men he believed to have poisoned him. And perhaps one day they will see justice. Today's third and final case is just as shocking as the previous two, and it shows the importance of trusting one's own instincts. Russ Stagger worked as a football coach at Durham High School. In that position, he was popular and well-liked. In the late 1970s, he had divorced his first wife, Jo Lynn Snow, after 5 years, and though they were both sad to have their relationship end, they remained friends. However, Russ felt lonely after his divorce and missed that close relationship with someone he trusted.
Don't do it, Russ.
It was a year later that he met the beautiful widowed 31-year-old Barbara Terry. Their meeting seemed...
Bruh, look at her. She looked scary. She looked crazy. If she didn't do it, she was affiliated or associated with it. She looked like pure madness, man.
like the perfect story.
Woo!
Accidentally bumping into each other when she came to see a house he was selling, and they both instantly felt a strong attraction. After a whirlwind romance, Russ proposed to Barbara after only a few months of dating.
This
and
dude looks so
the seemingly
familiar.
happy couple married in 1979. Russ even adopted Barbara's 2 sons she had during her previous marriage. Russ continued his job and also began teaching driver's ed, while Barbara, who was known to be the perfect homemaker, worked as a secretary at Duke University and as an ad salesperson for a radio station. She was even an aspiring author. The couple reportedly needed both jobs, as they were known by friends and family to spend money almost as fast as they made it, buying new clothes, cars, and even a beach getaway. However, not everything was as it seemed.
Nothing is ever as it seems, you heard? Be sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, man. Let's get to 30 likes on this video, man. I appreciate all the love and support.
Russ soon discovered that Barbara had been lying to him about their finances, and the couple was deeply in debt. Allegedly, Barbara had even forged his signature on financial paperwork, and there are claims that she had begun a scheme with the banks by borrowing money from one and paying it off with a loan from another. She also had allegedly lied to Russ and the banks about selling a novel for $100,000, when in fact she had been rejected by a publishing house. Regardless, she reportedly used a forged letter, made from the rejection letter, as collateral in order to keep receiving loans. When Barbara explained that she had gotten in over her head, Russ eventually forgave her, but insisted that from then on, he would be the one in charge of their finances.
Strike one. So this is that intuition, inkling early on, being like, bro, that's a red flag. You know what I mean? I don't even know what to really say, man. Shout out to USA Save Freedom for, typing in the chat below 250 billion times. Wow. Is she referring to the poison dosage, the radiation dosage? Poor Barbara with that photo. Barbara, you're crazy. You look wild.
He believed that they could pay off the debt. They only had to cut the extravagant buying and move to a smaller house. Russ even asked his parents for help paying for the debt, which they agreed to. Something that is important to know about Russ is that he often slept with a handgun below his pillow, just in case of any emergency during the night.
Oh, scrap.
It was said that Barbara liked knowing that they could use it to protect themselves.
There you go, Barbara. This is more of a pleasant picture. This is the high school yearbook type picture,
If they needed to, which is exactly what ended up happening. Or at least, that was the story, just in case of any emergency during the night. It was said that Barbara liked knowing that they could use it to protect themselves if they needed to, which is exactly what ended up happening. Or at least, that was the story. On February 1st, 1988, Barbara woke to the sound of someone moving in their house. When she looked over, Russ was fast asleep next to her. It could have been her 2 boys, but something told Barbara it was an intruder. In her sleep-muddled mind, she thought it best that she check out the noise before alerting the whole family in case it was nothing.
Nah.
Barbara reached for the gun under Russ's pillow, and that's when everything went wrong. When she tried to move it, the gun accidentally went off, shooting Russ in the back of the head. Horrified, Barbara called 911 at 6:08 a.m., and EMTs rushed to the house. At first, there seemed to be some hope, as Russ was still alive when they arrived. But he died a few hours later. The police investigated this strange and shocking death and concluded that Barbara wasn't lying, and the gun had truly gone off accidentally.
How do you prove that?
But it was Russ's first wife, Jo Lynn, who couldn't accept that Russ's death was an accident. She began campaigning to have the case reopened and told police that Russ had confided to her that Barbara mistreated him and he was afraid of her. He also told her that if anything happened to him, Barbara did it. The problem was, even though the police may have been interested in pursuing Russ's death as more than an accident, there was no proof. This is until a student was snooping around a locker at the high school where Russ had worked. Within the locker was a tape made by Russ. The student brought the tape to the authorities, who were shocked to hear what Russ had recorded. Russ had begun to feel unsafe around his wife and suspicious about some of her actions. He decided that the best thing he could do was create an audio diary detailing some of the things that she had done. In the recording, he talked about their debts and Barbara's unwillingness to stop spending money, as well as her expectation that he provide the life for her that she wanted. But more interestingly, Russ also recorded that he had recently caught Barbara having an affair, one he had witnessed himself by walking into the room and catching her kissing another man. The last entry that Russ had made was 3 days before his death, and it was the most telling. Russ told the recorder that she continued waking him up in the night, trying to give him pills. He said, quote, "Last night she woke me up and gave me what she said was 2 aspirins. She stood there to see if I took it. I did not take it. When he looked closer in the morning, he found out that the pills were not aspirin, but actually sleeping pills." Forensics were soon deployed and discovered that Barbara's story about the gun accidentally going...
So she was basically trying to get him knocked out unconscious to the fact that she could just blow his brains out. Dang, she look crazy right now. Be sure to hit that like button, man. Let's get to 50 likes on this video, man. We got 9 people watching in the live stream. I do plan on going live with another Explore With Us reaction. So if you down with that, hit the like button, stay tuned, and we're going to get to it.
Off didn't actually make sense. It revealed that the gun was never kept under the pillow as Barbara claimed.
You think?
But actually in a side drawer. And Russ also didn't ever keep the gun loaded. As well, because of the model of the gun, it required 4 pounds of pressure on the trigger, which couldn't have been done accidentally. Barbara was soon arrested under suspicion of murder. While in court, it was revealed that Barbara's first husband had died in a similar manner, earning her the nickname a Black Widow Killer.
Dang.
Larry Ford, Barbara's first husband, had died after an allegedly accidental shooting in High Point, North Carolina. In this case, Barbara claimed that Larry's gun went off while he was cleaning it. This shooting, too, was seen as a tragic mishap.
Dang.
In Russ's tape, he expressed his own suspicion that Barbara's first husband's death hadn't been an accident. Allegedly, Barbara's motive in Russ's death was a $170,000 life insurance policy, as she couldn't stand the lower-budget lifestyle they had recently adopted. Because of the tapes, not only did police have enough suspicion to look deeper into Barbara, but because of his recordings, the jury heard Russ's own voice telling them just how fearful he was of his wife. Barbara Stagger was convicted in 1989 for murdering Russ and given the death penalty. However, this was commuted. She is currently serving life in prison. Though these surprising cases of people solving their own deaths and naming their killers after they have passed may seem like a phenomenon, it happens more often than you may think.
It happens a lot, folks. At first, I thought the last story was something that I had already seen. You know what I mean? In terms of, like, just, excuse me, all of, like, the documentaries I be watching, like, criminology stuff. I swear I thought that the last story was, he looked familiar for a reason, you know what I mean? But That's 3 stories of people who solved their own murders. The Explore With Us reaction, man. Let me know y'all's thoughts on this one in the comment section below. This is about a 30-minute video. I'm only planning to actually do this reaction and hop into another one if y'all feeling down for that. If y'all gonna join the next live stream, that'll probably happen in the next 20 minutes, then join the live stream, man, if you ain't got nothing else better to do. Like, comment, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, subscribe, turn on all notifications, man. Keep recommending content. You can recommend content in the comment section down below. Donations are open on the channel, man. I posted a link in the chat. If you feel like donating, if you feel like you feeling generous today, then I definitely appreciate that. But regardless, I appreciate you guys, helping me grow on this platform. I'm about to hit 20K subscribers, man, pretty soon. We're about to hit 19K, but we don't even look at that though. We're trying to hit 1 million subscribers on this channel. So share my content, like my content, man. Keep recommending videos, and we'll catch you guys in the next reaction, man.